Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Gaura Pramanande. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashto Trashadashi Shrimad Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Guru Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Sitanath Pramanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naran Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirajet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatharinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from the great Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled The Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 27, Attack by Chandavega on the city of Purañjana, the character of Kala Kanya. It's a new chapter, text number 1. So, Vedabase.io, SB 4.27.1, for those of you looking online. SB 4.27.1. Okay. Nārada uvacha Ittam Purañjanam sadryag Ittam Purañjanam sadryag Vashamaniya vibramai Vashamaniya vibramai Purañjani Maharaja Purañjani Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim Reme Ramayati Patim Nārada uvacha Ittam Purañjanam sadrig Vashamaniya vibramai Purañjani Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim Nārada uvacha Ittam Purañjanam sadryag Vashamaniya Vibramai Puranjani Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim. Gentlemen. Nārada Vacha Itam Purañjanam Sadrag Vasamaniya Vibramai Puranjani Maharaja Ramayati Patim. Nārada Vacha Itam Purañjanam Sadrag Puranjani Maharaja Deme Ramayati Patim. Nārada Vacha Itam Purañjanam Sadrag Vasamaniya Vibramai Puranjani Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim. Nārada Uvacha. Nārada said, Itam, thus, Purañjanam, King Purañjana, Sadrak, completely, Vashamaniya, bringing under her control, Vibramaihi, by her charms, Puranjani, the wife of King Purañjana, Maharaja, O King, Reme, enjoyed, Ramayati, giving all satisfaction, Patim, to her husband. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation with repetition. The great sage Nārada continued, My dear king, after bewildering her husband in different ways and bringing him under her control, the wife of King Purañjana gave him all satisfaction and enjoyed sex life with him. Purport. After hunting in the forest, King Purañjana returned home, and after refreshing himself by taking a bath and eating nice food, he searched for his wife. When he saw her lying down on the ground without a bed, as if neglected and devoid of any proper dress, he became very much aggrieved. He then became attracted to her and began to enjoy her company. A living entity is similarly engaged in the material world in sinful activities. These sinful activities may be compared to King Purañjana's hunting in the forest. A sinful life can be counteracted by various processes of religion such as yajna, vrata and dana. That is the performance of sacrifices, the taking of a vow for some religious ritual, and the giving of charity. In this way, one becomes free from the reactions of sinful life and at the same time awakens his original Krishna consciousness. By coming home, taking his bath, eating nice foodstuff, getting refreshed and searching out his wife, King Purañjana came to his good consciousness in his family life. In other words, a systematic family life as enjoined in the Vedas is better than an irresponsible sinful life. If a husband and wife combine together in Krishna consciousness and live together peacefully, that is very nice. However, if a husband becomes too much attracted by his wife and forgets his duty in life, the implications of materialistic life will again resume. Srila Rupa Goswami has therefore recommended Anasaktasya Vishayan, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.255. Without being attached by sex, the husband and wife may live together for the advancement of spiritual life. The husband should engage in devotional service, and the wife should be faithful and religious according to the Vedic injunctions. Such a combination is very good. However, if the husband becomes too much attracted to the wife due to sex, the position becomes very dangerous. Women in general are very much sexually inclined. Indeed, it is said that a woman's sex desire is 9 times stronger than a man's. It is therefore a man's duty to keep a woman under his control by satisfying her, giving her ornaments, nice food and clothes, and engaging her in religious activities. Of course, a woman should have a few children and this way not be disturbing to the man. Unfortunately, if the man becomes attracted to the woman simply for sex enjoyment, then family life becomes abominable. The great politician Chanakya Pandit has said, Bharya Vyupavati Shatru. A beautiful wife is an enemy. Of course, every woman in the eyes of her husband is very beautiful. Others may see her as not very beautiful, but the husband, being very much attracted to her, sees her always as very beautiful. If the husband sees the wife as very beautiful, it is to be assumed that he is too much attracted to her. This attraction is the attraction of sex. The whole world is captivated by the 2 modes of material nature, Rajogun and Tamagun, passion and ignorance. Generally, women are very much passionate and are less intelligent. Therefore, somehow or other, a man should not be under the control of their passion and ignorance. By performing bhakti yoga or devotional service, a man can be raised to the platform of goodness. If a husband situated in the mood of goodness can control his wife, who is in passion and ignorance, the woman is benefited. Forgetting her natural inclination for passion and ignorance, the woman becomes obedient and faithful to her husband, who is situated in goodness. Such a life becomes very welcome. The intelligence of the man and woman may then work very nicely together, and they can make a progressive march towards spiritual realization. Otherwise, the husband, coming under the control of the wife, sacrifices his quality of goodness and becomes subservient to the qualities of passion and ignorance. In this way, the whole situation becomes polluted. The conclusion is that a household life is better than a sinful life devoid of responsibility. But if in the household life the husband becomes subordinate to the wife, involvement in materialistic life again becomes prominent. In this way, a man's material bondage becomes enhanced. Because of this, according to the Vedic system, after a certain age, a man is recommended to abandon his family life for the stages of Vanaprastha and Sannyas. Prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanutam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanutamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Surato Pangor Mamamanda Matergati Matsarvasya Parambojo Radha Madana Mohano Vanchakalpaturubhasya Kripa Sindhava Evacha Paridanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Saminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Mte Jai Pataka Swami Samamani Namo Acharya Padaya Jagma Padaya Gaura Kata Dhamana Nagagamata. The great sage Nārada continued, "My dear king, after bewildering her husband in different ways and bringing him under her control, the wife of King Purañjana gave him all satisfaction and enjoyed sex life with him." So, welcome again to this Monday morning Bhagavatam class in the wonderful kingdom of Shri Radha Gopinath. Jai. So, generally, it is said that the scriptures are the equivalent of our mother. Sometimes the mother likes to chastise the son or daughter for doing some kind of naughty activities. And as a result, the chastisement is very strong sometimes, right? Because the mother, out of so much love, she likes to try and correct the child so that he stays on track and not deviate from his position. So in the similar manner, the Shastras are very transparent, very factual, and to the point. There's no wishy-washy stuff. It's always to the point so that it directly pierces the heart and tries to bring about a revolution in the consciousness. In that way, a person can be saved. So in this particular verse, we see that many strong points have been made. But the underlying principle in this verse we see is that a person is continuously suffering in this material world because of one main underlying factor, which is sex desire, which is the desire to engage your senses. So there are two reasons why a person is actually in this material world. One is because of Irsha, which is enviousness, and second is Dvesha, which is is envious of the Lord, and he wants to have a lording over mentality, which basically means whatever you see, you like to enjoy. If you see some nice food stuff in front of you, immediately the first thought is, oh, I'd like to enjoy this, try something new. It looks something very interesting. Maybe I should enjoy. If I don't enjoy, who else will enjoy? If you see some very nice, maybe some nice movie, you say, oh, might have been created for me to enjoy, so on and so forth. So in this way, the two main reasons is because we're envious, and of course we have the lording it over nature, lording it over mentality. So, and as a result of these two, it culminates into this gross or basic desire, which is sense gratification or sex desire, which basically keeps one entrapped in this material world. We may have seen many sages or many monastic orders, people who are trying to pursue transcendence. All of them, they always start their realizations or start their learning with the first basic tenet by saying, restrict sense enjoyment or try to completely stop it. Why is that? So there is a logical, actually, understanding behind this. We see in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Kapila Devi is having a conversation with Devahuti, his mother, Devahuti asks some certain questions of her son, who is none other than a Shaktivesh, is none different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She asks him certain questions like how she can make her life successful, overcome these material desires. For that, actually, Kapila Dev actually gives first he gives a background. He's trying to set the scene, trying to explain or make her understand why a soul is actually suffering, first of all, in this material world. And one of the two things which is pertinent to this, he says that from the mode of goodness is the mind has been created. From the mode of passion, the intelligence is created. And the responsibility of the mind is just to accept and reject, whereas the intelligence is responsible for all of the memories, sleep, subconscious activities, and so on and so forth. So what happens is when the intelligence is not very conducive, because one who's in this material nature, he's always been bombarded with all of these material activities. Everywhere you go, you're always been bombarded with so many, sense gratificatory propensities. Everything is attracting the senses. You go outside and you immediately see a billboard, something is attracting. Oh, there's a new perfume. You want to buy this, you can smell good. Oh, there's a new food product in the market. So we've always been bombarded with these different sensations. And because of this, the intelligence tends to become really polluted with all of these previous samskaras. And as a result of this, the mind keeps on accepting. Instead of rejecting all of the negatives, it keeps on accepting all of this. And as a result, a person continues to be going on in the circle of birth and death. So how does one actually, so Kapila Dev goes on to explain, so this is the present scenario, that a person is just completely stuck in this, in this situation. It's a very helpless condition, and basically is very difficult for him to get out of this situation. So once he explains all this, then Devahuti, she asks a very pertinent question. So in this particular scenario, how do we basically come out of this situation? Because we see that the sex desire is so strong. It's called Hridaya Granthi, which means that once a person actually engages in the act of sex or sense gratification, it is written in the scriptures that it forms a hard knot in the heart. Why? What does that actually mean? What does a knot mean? Because it doesn't just stop there. So once you do the sense gratification, then what happens next? You end up having children. And once you have children, then you have to, you have to have a nice house to actually maintain your wife and children. Yes? It doesn't stop there. The wife will want a nice investment property. So you have to also, start investing for investment property. Does it stop there? No. Children have to go to private school. I recently heard that in Sydney it's around $90,000 per year for tuition for a private school. It's a lot of money. So you say, okay, so then you go to that. Does it stop there? No. Children are grown up now. So now you try to, they're going to get married. Then they're going to have their own family. So then you'll have grandchildren, granddaughters, grandsons, so on and so forth. And then you're so much attached to them. They want to play with the grandparents and you want to play with the grandchildren. Does it stop there? No. So it just goes on and on and on. Where is the break? So practically speaking, there is no break. Prahlad Maharaj actually, when he tells his classmates that you should take up devotional service and try to come out of this entanglement of sensual desires and sense entanglement, the response is that, oh, we're just still young now. Prahlad Maharaj at the time is just a 5-year-old boy, and he's teaching all of these very high devotional philosophies to these his classmates. But the classmates are like, oh, we're just kids right now, we got to play, we got to enjoy. Maybe when we're older, let's do something more, spiritual. But then Prahlad Maharaj, who's a very, very great devotee of the Lord, despite being a small child, he explains that, okay, from birth till maybe a couple of years, 5 years, you're a small child and you're engaged in playful activities, you're engaged in sports, so on and so forth. Then from the age of 5 to maybe until you're a teenager, you're always engaged in studies. You have to learn education because, for the future you have to endeavor because you have to get a job, so on and so forth. So that's the time is gone in that. Then after you become a teenage, you end up getting a job and then you have to get married. And then your family life starts basically. So your family life is started. Then after some time you have children. You have to get the children married. And then slowly, you become old. And when you're old, your body does not cooperate with you. It's very difficult to chew. It's very difficult to walk. The hands are paining. The legs are paining. The mind is not as fast as it was when you were young. And then finally you ended up dying. So when at all do you get an opportunity to do devotional service? If you say keep on postponing, when I become older, there's a famous saying that tomorrow never dies or tomorrow never comes. That's a very famous saying, right? So that's basically what Prahlad Maharaj is trying to communicate, that if not now, then when? Because practically speaking, you do not know when you are going to die. Right? Can anybody confidently lift their hand and say, I know when I'm going to die? Probably some terminally ill patients may say, okay, the doctor said I'm going to die in a couple of days. But even then, that's an approximate. You will not get the exact moment in which you will die. So, why am I talking about moment you will die? Because it is given in the Bhagavad Gita that at the time of death, whatever consciousness one has, that whatever he is meditating upon, that consciousness is what he will get, or that particular form is what he will get in the next life. For example, if a husband is very much attached to his wife, in the next birth he will end up becoming a woman. But if a woman is very much attached to the husband, she is always thinking about the husband, the next life she will end up becoming a man. So this is also a very interesting or very important factor. When we read all of these scriptures, we see that sometimes there may be strong words against women or men in particular. First point we must understand is that this is a very basic understanding. A man in this life can be a woman in the next life, and a woman in this life can be a man in the next life, right? And there's also another thing. In the scriptures is a very important understanding, which I also heard from one senior devotee, that it's like a tongue twister. Pay attention. For a man, a woman is a woman, but for a woman, a man is a woman. Which basically means when a man is reading this and it says something about a woman, it is basically he has to take it as it is. But when a lady is reading this, she has to take it as the opposite, basically. So when it says woman, she has to take it as a man. So that is very understanding. So we cannot develop a mentality that, why are the Shastras putting down women or putting down men? No, that's the basic underlying factor, that one day you are a man, the next day you can be a woman. So the understanding applies to both. There is also an additional point to actually clarify this understanding. It is also given in the Hari Bhakti Vilas written by Srila Sanatana Goswami, that when they are talking about these kind of subject matters in the scriptures, that it is very important to note that it is for people who are completely materialistic and averse to Krishna consciousness, or those who are not devotees. But as soon as a person or individual who may be a man or a woman, he comes and takes up to the process of devotional service, then automatically this becomes an exception. So this is written in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. So that is something which we must take note. So we must take it to heart. Who knows? This life we may be a man, next life we may become a woman. So we have to take the instruction as it is. And at the same time, if we see, the Shastras they are never against or something like that. They always give a very elevated position to the feminine nature. And they always protect the feminine nature. If you see in the scriptures, it's always given that when a young girl is born and she's growing up, she's always under the protection of her father. And when she grows up and gets married, she's under the protection of her husband. And then when she has children, and she has a grown-up son, and she's under the protection of the grown-up son. So in this way, throughout the life, they're always been protected. So in this way, Vedic life is a very holistic life. People sometimes tend to, pick some stuff out of context from the Vedic literatures and create some kind of, hypocritical or crazy behavior. But we must always understand, but whatever we read from scriptures must always be taken in context. Because when we take it in context only, then the actual knowledge which we're trying to pursue, we will be able to understand. Another important thing which we try to understand, Kapila Dev is actually saying, we understood that sex desire, or this desire to enjoy, and this enviousness is the reason we are actually suffering here. We are, anybody, if you ask, or nobody can claim that they are not suffering. If someone says, no, I'm completely happy, still he will be suffering from birth, death, old age, and disease. Nobody can say, I'm free from disease. It's impossible. Nobody can say, I will never die. Person who says, I will never die, he is the biggest fool. People nowadays are trying so much technology, trying to, always be young, trying to look young. Okay, you can try to look young, but still one day you're going to die. So that's still a problem. Of course, nobody can stop birth. Can somebody just be in the womb and say, no, I don't want to come out? It's not impossible. After 9-10 months, you're forced out of the womb of the mother. So you have to be born. Yeah. So birth, death, old age, disease. So nobody on this planet can claim that we are not miserable. They have some misery or the other. So how can one actually overcome this miserable condition, which is because of this hridaya granthi, because of this hard knot in the heart? Again, Kapila Dev, he gives a very nice instruction on the yogic process of devotional service. He basically goes on to say that the seed of devotion which is there in the heart, every living being actually has an inherent nature that is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a tiny spark. You just have to fan that spark and then it will become a fire. So every individual being has that inclination to offer some service. The nature of the soul itself is to offer service, to do some activity, and that activity is in the form of a service. If we see, in the modern day, if somebody is not offering service to their husband, wife, or parents, they don't have anybody, they end up offering service to the dog or the cat, or so on and so forth. So that nature to offer service is always inherently present in the heart. So what is the right way of actually engaging that inherent nature is that you basically dovetail that inherent nature of offering service to the supreme proprietor of the whole world, which is God, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Shri Radha Gopinath. So that is the mentality of one who actually has to try and overcome this nature. So Kapila Dev actually says the easiest way than all of these yogic processes. It's very difficult to do yoga in the present day. You can't sit in one place with spine erect continuously for even 5 to 10 minutes. After some point in time, maybe your lower back will start paining, or you'll get some pain here and there, or your mind will start wandering. So it's extremely difficult to perform yogic processes in the present day. So because of this, the Lord, when He comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and of course it's given all in the scriptures also, that the easiest method by which one can progress is by doing Shravanam and Kirtanam, which basically translates to hearing about the Lord and chanting the glories of the Lord, because that is the easiest way by which one can actually perform and come out of this mundane nature and go to the transcendental nature. It's said that, actually Kapila Dev is saying that when you, just by doing Shravanam and Kirtanam, just by hearing and chanting, you come to the stage where the other yogis are actually aspiring. The yogis, they do, yama, niyama, pranayama, dharana, pratyahara, all of these 8 different processes they do, and then the mind is calm, and then they come up to the stage of Brahma Bhuta Prasannatmana Sochti Nakangshati, that then they realize that they are, they realize this Brahman realization, or they see the Paramatma. But a person who actually is doing devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, he actually immediately is in that position, which basically means he does not have to endeavor to do so many activities to come to that. So one person who just chants the holy name of the Lord, listens to His glories, he is already on the platform what other transcendentalists are. And there are so many ways by which we can actually, focus our mind. The Lord's pastimes are so very sweet. The Lord, when he actually descends to this material world, He performs so many activities so that a person can actually be attracted to these activities, and in that way a person can just continuously meditate on the Lord, and this way go back to Him. Kapila Dev also makes another very important point, that all you have to do is meditate on one single pastime of the Lord. Throughout at any moment, if you just meditate on one single pastime, that immediately you are actually in the state of samadhi. Prabhupada writes in the purport there that when there's a description, I think the 3rd canto, 28-29 chapter, the description of the wonderful Paramatma feature of the Lord is given. The Lord is just so nice, dazzling yellow dhoti. He has a very reddish complexion. He has a, very dark blue color. He has curly hair. He is wearing crocodile earrings. He has a very nice jewel, pearl, as white as milk, pearl necklace he is wearing. He has a Shamantaka Vaijayanti mala. he has the Kaustuba gem and the what else? So much. He is giving so much. Sorry, Shrivatsa mark. He also has the Shrivatsa mark, and he has in one hand he is having the conch shell. In other hand he is having the discus. He has 4 hands. So in other hand he is having a mace called Kaumudaki, and in the other he has a lotus flower. It is given in the description. It's so wonderful that the smile of the Lord is so wonderful that Kapila Dev is saying that if a person just meditates on the beautiful smile of the Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya or Gopinath, that automatically the Bhava Sagara, which means that there's an ocean of tears, right? Because we are suffering so much. Just imagine, you're suffering so much and you're crying. And after all of these tears, they just accumulate and it becomes an ocean. So, which basically means for the unlimited number of births we have taken, all of those accumulated tears combined into an ocean is present. And if a person just meditates on the smile of, can be anyone, Jagannath, Swami, Baladev, Subhadra, Gaurnitai, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Gopinath, just meditate on their smile, and this entire ocean of tears immediately dries up. And another very interesting or very secret solution to actually overcome this lusty nature, lording over the material nature, it is said that if one simply concentrates on the eyebrows of the Lord, then the eyebrows are compared to the bows of Madana, who is Cupid. So the eyebrows of the Lord can attract Cupid himself, which is basically lust. So if you just meditate on the beautiful eyebrows of the Lord, lust itself is conquered. So in this way, when we are just talking about the Lord, we are immediately transported to the transcendental nature just by having a conversation about the Lord. Because the Lord, the Lord's name, the Lord's pastime, His glories are all on the absolute platform. Which means when I am saying Hare Krishna, which it practically means Krishna is there at this moment. When I am chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the Lord is physically present in our tongue and He is dancing on our tongue. And that because the Lord, the holy name, His form, His name, His activities, His pastimes, His scriptures, His representatives, all of them are non-different. So in this way we can always meditate on some pastime or the other. So when I'm thinking of this, I just remember a pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that how he really embodied this teaching and trying to make everybody chant the holy name of the Lord. So there was this Qazi who was basically a ruler in Bengal during the days of the Mohammedans when they were ruling 540 years ago, that this particular Qazi, Mahaprabhu, is having a conversation with him. Mahaprabhu or Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Radha and Krishna together. So when they merge together and they come as one person, they are Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they manifested, and he came 540 years ago as an incarnation of the Lord Himself. So he is having a conversation with this Qazi, not Chand Qazi, is a different Qazi, that he's telling, oh my dear ruler, you are a very handsome person. You have very nice features. You are very intelligent. You are very politically minded. Yes? You have a lot of wealth with you. You are a very learned person. You have so many people working under you. You are also very eloquent. Right? So you have all of these great assets, material assets. And I ask of you, please give it up. And simply chant Hare Krishna. So Mahaprabhu is requesting this person to chant the holy name of the Lord. But then the Qazi says, no, I don't want to chant Hare Krishna. I will chant tomorrow. But then suddenly all the devotees nearby, they're saying, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And then the Qazi is wondering, what happened? It's like, you just said Hare Krishna. You started your chanting today. So why do you wait for tomorrow? You have already started your chanting. So start chanting now. So this is the urgency with Mahaprabhu. Actually, he he demonstrated that one should try by hook or crook to try and make somebody chant the Hare Krishna mantra, because that is the greatest beneficial activity one can do to another person. Philanthropy, charity, all of this you do one day, and the other day somebody may forget. But by giving the person a holy name, by giving him Krishna Prasad, by giving him Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, that person will be eternally grateful for you life after life after life. So that's how valuable this particular gem is. There was one time a Brahmana, he actually, under the direction, Brahmana is very poor, right? And under the direction of Lord Shiva, he prays to Lord Shiva and he says, I'm very poor, can you just do something for me? I require some monetary support. Can you please direct me or guide me how I can get that? And Lord Shiva says, okay, there is this person called Sanatan in Vrindavan. Go and meet him, and then your desires will be fulfilled. So when this Brahmana actually goes to Sanatan Goswami is very immersed in writing the scriptures, chanting the holy names of the Lord. And he approaches very humbly and he tells Sanatan Goswami that, my dear sir, I am a very poor Brahmana. I want some help to alleviate my material condition, my situation. Please kindly help me come out of the situation. So then Sanatan Goswami says, the Brahmana actually says, please give me this, something very valuable which you have, or the touchstone. So Sanatan Goswami says, the touchstone, what is a touchstone? It's basically a stone which if you touch any iron item, it transforms into gold. The alchemist's, dream. Anyways, so he says, there's my garbage pile over there. You just search for it over there, you might find it. And then the Brahmana says, okay, and there's a lot of garbage. He just goes digging under that and he finds the Chintamani, the touchstone. He gets the Chintamani stone and then he says, thank you, Sanatan Goswami, and he goes. Then he's going, walking, and suddenly he stops and he says, wait a minute, such a precious jewel, Chintamani, but it was in the garbage pile. What's going on? It's supposed to be so valuable. Why is it in the garbage pile? Maybe Sanatan has something even more valuable. So then he actually goes back to Sanatan Goswami and says, my dear sir, it seems that you have something even more valuable than this. I greatly desire this most valuable thing which you have. Can you please award me that? So then Sanatan Goswami says, of course, but there is a condition. Throw this in the river of Yamuna, take a bath and come back. Which means just give up this material attraction to this and then come back. So then the Brahmana complies. He takes the touchstone, chucks it in the Yamuna river, takes a bath and comes back. And what does Sanatan Goswami award him? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he awards the most valuable thing, which is basically the Lord's holy name, which is non-different to the Lord himself. So by chanting this holy name, one actually, it's possible for one to transcend this material nature and be in constant touch with the transcendental nature, the spiritual nature, and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. So in this way, a person has to constantly keep meditating on the Lord, meditating on the pastimes of the Lord. If one wants to come out of this gross sense gratificatory propensity, then the only way is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Sadhu Sangha. Easiest method. And Prabhupada, he is a genius who has designed all of this. If a person attends the morning program, basically from 4:30 to 10 o'clock or 9:30, he starts off by, meditating on the Lord, and then has such an intimate connection with the Lord for the next 1.5 hours, which is basically from 5 o'clock to 7:15. Such an intimate connection with the Lord, because by chanting the holy name. Chanting the holy name is not an ordinary thing. Srila Prabhupada so many times has mentioned that when you're chanting the holy name of the Lord, literally Krishna is dancing on your tongue. So how much attention you must pay while you're chanting the holy name. It's like when a guest comes to your house and you're chanting and you're like, oh man, the guest is over here, let me do my own stuff. So that's why inattentive chanting is also something which is discouraged. We do attentive chanting because the Lord is practically present and dancing on our chant. Srila Prabhupada also mentions in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya in the introduction that in the Hare Krishna mantra, we know that Krishna and Rama is non-different from Krishna, Balaram, Krishna, Radharaman, Krishna. But Prabhupada also mentions in the introduction of TLC, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, that Krishna and Rama in the Hare Krishna mantra are non-different from Gauranga and Nityananda, non-different from Parashuram, non-different from our Ram. So, practically speaking, all of them are there in the holy name. So how much attention we must chant. So 1.5 hour intimate connection with the Lord, and then 7:15 to 8 o'clock 7:15 to 7:30 we are praising the associate of the Lord. It is said that when we worship or when we sing the glories of the representative of the Lord, the devotees of the Lord is even more happy than when he himself is worshipped. Actually, Kapila mentions there in that same section that chanting the holy name of the devotees gives the Lord so much more pleasure than sometimes chanting his name. That one point is actually given. So that's very interesting. I was just reading the other day. So the devotees are so very dear to the Lord. Sometimes the devotees themselves are more powerful than the Lord because the Lord wishes for the devotee to be, to display that powerful characteristics. Of course, the devotee does not desire all of this, but the Lord simply, to enhance the glory of the devotee, he performs all of these wonderful activities. So then after we glorify Srila Prabhupada, who is such a wonderful pure devotee, then we have the opportunity to actually discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Amala Puran. Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. These three scriptures are the fundamental basics for one who is trying to progress on the path of transcendental nature, transcendental life. And then after this, all of you have the opportunity to have some Mahaprasad. Prasadam is not non-different from the Lord also. So when we offer foodstuff to the Lord, when we offer in a clean manner, we are very clean, the place is clean, and then we cook the foodstuff and offer it to the Lord accepts the prasad, the bhoga, and gives it as prasad. Prasad means mercy of the Lord. And when we honor that prasad, we are actually interacting with the Lord himself. Actually, it is said that the prasad of the Lord and the prasad are non-different. So we must be very careful when we waste prasadam. We should take only how much is required and not waste prasadam. Because if you're wasting prasadam, it's equivalent to throwing the Lord. So we must be very careful when we honor prasad. So just by doing all of these activities, one is just on the simplest path of transcendentalism. So basically you're already on the level and going beyond the level of the other transcendentalists who are doing so many yogic postures, doing yama, niyama, dharana, pranayama, all of these different activities. So you're already above that level. Just if you simply follow the formula written and given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Bhagavatam ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki. Thank you very much. I'll stop here. Any questions or comments? So, well, your first question was, Shikshashaka Mahaprabhu says, Na dhanam, na chanam, na sundarim. So yeah, that same thing applies. It basically means what I initially said. For man, woman is woman, and for woman, man is, for woman, woman is man, basically. Alternate. So not alternate, vice versa. Yes, that applies. So your second question was when Bhagavad Gita, not just Bhagavad Gita, we just also read right now, that sometimes the scriptures may say that somebody is less intelligent. And there's actually a group of categories, and they said that so then how do we take that? So that's then again, you can clarify that, but that verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas, and Prabhupada also clarifies in many places that a person who has accepted devotional service and has become a devotee, he is above that. A person who is not has to be considered under that. So by becoming a devotee, you become transcendental to that. You overcome that basic and gross nature. Prabhupada, so many places actually has mentioned that. Yeah, this was also recently my Guru Maharaj was actually, when he was reading Hari Bhakti Vilas, he got this particular point and he had actually posted it. And I felt that, yes, this is a very, very interesting point to also help people understand that this is especially meant for people who are not devotees. But once you become a devotee, you are directly under the purview of this Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all for sitting. Hare Krishna. Hare